All right, happy Friday.
Right again.
It's it looks like you and I both have the same taste in casual Friday, business casual Friday shirts. It's
Either
funny.
wear the polo shirt, the Nino polo shirt, or this one.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, it's funny how often people in the office, without knowing it, dress as twins. And I gotta say, you and I are by far the most frequent culprits of that.
Yes. Yes.
It's always super funny when that happens.
I mean, you only have so many options, but it is true. Like on occasion, where you're like, really, that happened? Like we dressed the same, and I never thought that would happen there.
And it's more than the shirt. It's like same color pants and same color shoes. Anyways,
And we have to drive separately to lunch. Then at that point,
exactly,
seen in public.
exactly. So we got this is the Friday before the deadline next Thursday. So we've got the final extended due date for individual tax filings, C corporations.
Yep.
It'll be a busy, uh, 4 or 5 days from this point out, which will be a lot of fun, I suppose.
And I checked with the staff, and they all said they're getting me these tax returns on Monday. Like I can just review them all at one time on Monday. Oh yeah, I'll get it to you on Monday. I'll get it to you Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it'd be nice to space them out a little.
And it's funny in their defense and in our clients' defense, this is a year where the K1s and the little last bits of information that our clients have needed is really strung out, and so you get this last minute concentration of everything.
True.
Anyways, uh, back to our old friend discussion is the PPP loan.
Did we change the name of this to the PPP Loan Podcast?
We should. Um, so yeah, there was new information released on this. I think yesterday, Thursday. So we're now in this window where businesses who took PPP loans, and I mean, I know this is boring for anybody who listens to it because we've talked about it so much, but man, it is the topic of the year, and it's the thing that has so much changing information. So this is why you and I are having these conversations, so we could talk it out and make sure we understand what's going on, and
Yeah.
our clients can listen in on it, great, and learn something. So we're now kind of entering the window of PPP forgiveness. Um, I've been hearing from clients here and there that their banks have sent them emails saying, all right, we're now accepting applications for PPP forgiveness. Quite a few haven't. I think the one I received, I think, was Wells Fargo. And I checked yesterday with a client who has one with Chase. They're saying they're not yet taking applications.
Uh huh.
So we're in this window now where it's time to start really thinking about it. And everybody's 24-week
Right.
covered period is ending in these next 4 to 6 weeks.
Right. That was the
So
thing I was going to say is that, yeah, we finally hit the end of that 24-week period, which was probably like right around the end of September or so for a lot of
right,
them.
right. So we've kind of been for the last 2 months just on hold, pending that 24-week period, and with our fingers crossed that we're going to have this potential automatic forgiveness come down the the pike, and then we really wouldn't, many of our clients wouldn't have to do a lot of work to do this.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think we have some clarity this week on this finally. The first thing I think is the the bill that was passed by the House. I think it was last week, the extender, the second round of stimulus. It did have a provision in it for automatic forgiveness. I think it was for, yeah, don't quote me on this. I barely read on it, but it was like loans of 50,000 or less, I think. So we now know that that's not going to happen because I think the Senate and the president have all said we're not doing this until after the election. It sounds like I think the president came out yesterday and said he would do something to help the airlines and a couple of
Yeah.
industries, but I think that this broad, stimulus check for all taxpayers and forgiveness not going to happen until after the election. So
Yeah.
I'm starting to set my mind to, after we get through the 16th, that our clients ought to, they really should, if it's easy, they probably should start tackling the forgiveness process.
So I think, yeah, and this kind of shortcuts one of the reasons to do that, to go ahead and start doing that, right? So this new guidance that came out that basically says for borrowers for 50,000 or less, like they don't have a reduction if they reduce their number of employees. So before, like we should wait till December 31st because there was like this final provision that allowed you to, if you rehired everybody at December 31st, then you don't have a reduction in forgiveness. So if you laid everybody off, and I'm just talking out loud here, if you laid everybody off, but then rehire them on December 31st, like all is forgiven, like you get full forgiveness. And so that was one of the other reasons that we were waiting until December 31st. If you laid anybody off, we were telling them, wait till December 31st, see if if you need to rehire them, and then you'll get full forgiveness. Well, if you're under 50,000 now and you lay people off, you don't have to wait now till December.
Right. Yeah. So that is the good news. So it was interesting to see that the SBA, without legislation, that they just kind of came out and released these rules. So actually, let me back off on that. So this was the result of I love this wording. It was the result of a new interim final rule.
Yes. Yeah.
I love the interim final rule. It's anyways, it's a contradiction.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, temporary final. So anyways, as a result of this interim final rule, which I think came from the SBA and the Treasury. So then there you go. That makes sense. The Treasury, I think, has the authority to make a rule like this without legislation because they were probably given authority by the legislation to do it.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting that without legislation, which is what we've been waiting on, we just suddenly get this new rule that says you don't need to worry about the full-time equivalent rehiring thing.
Yeah.
So just to summarize, ever since the PPP thing went into place, there were basically two requirements to get full forgiveness. One was you had to spend the money on payroll and rent. I'm going to really overly summarize this. You had to spend the money on payroll and rent, and you had to retain your employees. And the measurement of that was through salaries or full-time equivalents.
Right.
So now this change basically gets rid of the retaining your employees requirement for loans of 50,000 or less. And it's strictly did you spend the money on payroll and rent?
Yep.
Which is good news for those clients. And it's interesting to note in this article that I read, if I can find it here, that that the total, let's see, that of the 5.2 million PPP loans that were approved by the SBA, 3.57 million of them fall into this 50,000 or less category. So, that's the majority. And so that seems like a good step in simplifying things.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing, just to reiterate, I think we've talked about this, but if our clients are going to start doing this, there is this simplified method for calculating full-time equivalents. If your loan is over 50,000, you have to do this calculation. Please seek out to see if you're eligible to use the simplified method to calculate it, and evaluate if you have full forgiveness under that method. It's significantly more simple than an hour-by-hour analysis of all your employees over the covered period.
So yeah, that's people over 50,000.
Correct.
Yep.
That's right. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for guidance on if you've got this fiscal year situation.
Oh, yeah.
And whether and how they determine when you spend the money and what you spend it on. If you're split down the middle here at June 30th, where you spent part in the beginning and part at the end, and whether or not we're going to be able to expense, obviously we're still waiting to determine if, at this point we can't expense the amounts from the PPP loan, but it'll be interesting to see if that ends up changing, because it's really substantial. And I feel like I've heard from clients that would be like, I didn't know that. I probably wouldn't have taken this loan if I knew that. So.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's good info.
Yep.
Hoping tonight is a clincher for my Lakers.
Yeah. Game 5, 3-1, right?
Yep.
And then you can not go to the parade and not set any cars on fire.
That's right. I heard that they're that Staples Center is not, and all the like bars and everything around there. I don't know if I think they're being restricted from even showing the game.
Really?
So that they discourage people from coming down there and loitering and hanging out and stuff like that.
All right. Well, I'm going to go review some tax returns.
All right. Me too.
Okay.